What does it truly mean to lead a nation like Nigeria? To some, Olusegun Obasanjo is the hero who handed power back to civilians in 1979. To others, he is the man whose ambition later tested the limits of democracy. And somewhere between these two images stands another Obasanjo, the strategist, the prisoner, the quiet survivor shaping history away from the noise. If you love deep stories like this, subscribe now so you don't miss the next one. Olusegun Matthew Okikiola Aremu Obasanjo was born on March 5, 1937 in Abeokuta, Ogun State. He grew up in a Nigeria still finding its identity, a country balancing hope with uncertainty. Those early years planted in him a hard lesson, that survival in Nigeria requires patience and calculation. When he joined the army in the late 1950s, he was not the loudest officer, but he was often the calmest. During the Civil War, men who served under him remember a commander who did not panic. One officer later said, "He could hold the line when everything seemed lost. He knew when to act and when to wait." That understanding of timing would follow him for life. By the mid-1970s, Nigeria was bleeding from coups and fear. After the assassination of General Murtala Muhammad, Obasanjo suddenly became head of state. Many expected another long military rule, but in 1979, he did something unexpected. He handed power to civilians. For some Nigerians, that single act defined him as a statesman. For others, it only hid the complex man beneath the uniform. And this is where the story becomes interesting, because the same man who once let power go would later be accused of trying to hold it too tightly. The 1990s opened a darker chapter. Under General Sani Abacha, Obasanjo became a prisoner in Kirikiri maximum security prison. Many thought that was the end of his influence. But those who saw him inside tell a different story. A former aide recalled, "He was quiet, always thinking, not about revenge, but about Nigeria. Prison did not shrink him, it reshaped him." There is a scene many Nigerians never hear about. During the Civil War, Obasanjo was not only commanding troops, he was watching young boys become men overnight. Those moments, people close to him say, hardened his belief that power must have purpose. That war taught him that Nigeria survives not because leaders are perfect, but because ordinary people endure more than leaders deserve. Years later inside Kirikiri prison, those memories returned. The cell was small, the nights were long, yet visitors noticed something strange. He did not speak like a defeated man. He spoke like someone planning for a tomorrow he was not even sure would come. Pastors and activists who visited him said he spoke less about revenge and more about Nigeria's future. He read endlessly. He wrote letters he never knew would be delivered. He argued with warders, with pastors, even with his own fears. Prison slowly turned the soldier into a philosopher. Outside those walls, Nigeria was changing without him. Fuel prices rising, universities restless, families arguing in sitting rooms about whether he was a victim or part of the old problem. In beer parlors, his name started fights. In churches, it started prayers. In markets, women asked the same question: can one man really save this country? When freedom finally came, he stepped out with gray hair and heavier steps, but his eyes were sharper. He had learned that Nigerians forgive slowly, yet they also hope dangerously fast. Even his critics admit one thing. He understood the Nigerian crowd. He knew how anger sounds in the north, how suspicion feels in the west, how pain hides in the east and the delta. That knowledge became both his strength and his temptation. Because a man who understands power too well sometimes begins to believe he alone can manage it. And that belief would later lead him toward his greatest controversy. When Abacha died in 1998, Nigeria turned to Obasanjo again. His election in 1999 looked like redemption, a former soldier becoming a civilian president. There were reforms, debt relief, new institutions, a promise that democracy had finally come to stay. Supporters called him a nation builder. Yet another shadow soon appeared, the third-term agenda. Many Nigerians felt betrayed. How could the man who once defended constitutional order now be tempted to stretch it? Some advisors warned him. Critics shouted. History watched in confusion. That moment divided his legacy more than any other. If you're still listening, you're beginning to see the real Obasanjo. Not a single story, but many stories arguing with each other. Beyond elections and headlines were quieter scenes, midnight meetings with generals, tough arguments with party leaders, long conversations with farmers and students. People who met him often said he listened more than he spoke, yet he decided faster than expected. One civil servant admitted, "You never left his room the same way you entered." Even outside Nigeria, his voice carried weight. African leaders consulted him in crises. Foreign diplomats saw a man who understood both the language of soldiers and the grammar of democracy. Some praised his courage, others feared his influence, but no one doubted that he mattered. Ordinary Nigerians had their own opinions. Market women remembered fuel queues. Students remembered strikes. Farmers remembered policies that helped some and hurt others. His legacy lived differently in every household. This is the Obasanjo rarely captured in textbooks. A man balancing vision with ego, principle with ambition, patience with power. He remains a puzzle, hero to some, villain to others. Prisoner who became president. Soldier who protected democracy, yet later tested its patience. Maybe that is the truth about leadership. It is never pure, never simple. If this story is making you see Nigerian history differently, take a second to subscribe. More untold stories are coming. The real story of Olusegun Obasanjo is not in the titles he carried. It is in the private decisions, the prison silence, the contradictions he lived with. Through his life, we see something bigger, the fears, hopes, and struggles of Nigeria itself. And in understanding that, we understand a little more about our own country.